Hey y'all, this is TCA Gaming, and in this video I am going to go over some recent sales that have happened on Heritage Auctions. If you've never heard of them, they are a big auction company that's been around for a long time. They have a two-letter domain, ha.com. We are going to talk about base set, and then we're also going to talk about a record sale for a very popular box that was surprising for me, and it was kind of like being buzzed around at Card Party. Then we're also going to talk about some future items that will be coming up, at least in their featured section. So let's go there now. So if you go to Heritage right now, what I'm looking at here, I have to log in to see this stuff, but I'm looking at the past sales and I'm filtering by Pokemon and items over $2,500. So this is going to be showing the most recent sales. So there are going to be a few things in here that we're not going to go over, but we are going to go over the most recent auctions that happened. So just a few days ago, if you look right here, here's a Charizard PSA 6. Did you guys see that price? $16,000. I don't know if this is a legit sale or not, but they have a very high payment rate on Heritage, and to me this is like above market. I believe I saw where somebody sold a PSA 7 for $14,000, and that was supposedly a record price. So a 6 at $16,000, I mean that's pretty way up there. And we're going to look at another PSA Charizard that sold a little farther down and kind of compare. Now, I'm not too familiar with the Tropical Winds. These seem pretty strong, so I'm not going to go over those too much because, again, I'm not this more niche than I'm really comfortable with talking about. Now, if you look at this, we have a number one trainer. This it looks like a raw card that might be still in its plaque. So let's just check it out. I'm going to click on it, and yeah, so you can see it's just in an acrylic. This is an ungraded number one, and this is a half art. So a half art, this is how they started off with their trophy Pikachu trainers. It's just got the Pikachu up top, and then now they've transitioned to the full arts, I want to say in 2014 or something like that, maybe a little bit later, maybe it was like 2019, I don't know, but the full arts are usually more desirable because they look cooler, but these are older and they're probably harder to find. But $75,000 seems to be a fairly strong price right now for the given market, and that this one is not graded, nor is it one of the very first or a full art. So to me, that's a pretty strong price. We got this is a trophy right here. This is a second place, so you can see he's a finalist from 2015. $13,000. Like, I've got a trophy that's a third place, but it's actually like a replacement. So I've got the plaques for semifinalists, finalists, and for the world champion. But I wouldn't sell for $13,000. However, I bought it for way less than that. I believe that this is a fairly strong, pretty accurate price, but these sell so few, so not often, that I am not completely sure on that. So if you guys know of other sales that have happened recently, maybe chime in. Now this seems really strong to me. We have a Pikachu Art Academy here graded in a PSA 10, $25,000. Now I remember it wasn't too long ago, maybe 3 or 4 years, Beamer at Collector's Cash was trying to sell me 3 of these things for $10,000. Not a piece, $10,000 total. So looking over a little bit over $3,000 a piece. And then I know PSA stopped grading them for a little bit, and then they started back up again. This is a really new cert. The Art Academies are very scarce, and they've made a good, strong push in price in the last few years. So $25,000 to me is a strong price, but I'm going to sit here and tell you that I am not completely familiar with the market. So it would not surprise me if there are other sales that are higher, but it would not surprise me as well if you have this same card selling in the $10,000 to $15,000 range. Here we have a Creatures deck, Chansey. A lot of great history with the Creatures deck set. There's a lot of cards that come out with the 25th anniversary. This is something that was not, well, this is something that it was not fully covered in the history video that I have upcoming for you guys. However, it is something that that generated a lot of attention because you could only get it, I believe, if you worked at the Pokemon Company, and there were supposedly 200 to 300 copies of these things that pushed out. So the price point of all of the cards that come in here have been surprising to me. $15,000. I think that's right around what you should expect for something like this. And this isn't even in a 10. The Charizard, I believe, is about the same price in a 9, maybe more. I lost a few auctions a little while back, but the cards continue to seemingly grow in price, where I was expecting them to pull back because of how I mean, they're scarce, but they're not like crazy scarce. And they're not that old, and they're not that hard to grade compared to some of the oldest stuff like the TMB Tropical Mega Battle Verse Series stuff that's on the English grade or English side and other languages. But still, a lot of great history. People love them, and these things continue to do well in auction. Now, this was a really cool card that Pokemon Radar, or Radar, if you guys follow him on Instagram, he has posted some information about and made it available for people to send in offers and or questions about so that he could put out information. But we have a Magic the Gathering card with a Pikachu like ghost printed onto the card itself. Very, very cool. Very iconic card. The biggest two trading card games, or at least I believe Magic the Gathering is still up there. I believe Pokemon is solidified itself as number one. And they're together. So, I mean, you're talking about something that's really cool, very unique, and has direct provenance from Pokemon, an employee that was there. So, I mean, it's been verified. And $45,000 does not surprise me. I think they were wanting a little bit more when they were asking for offers on it. But $45,000 to me is a very strong price, while at the same time, I get it. I get why somebody would pay that amount. And remember, for it to get up to $45,000, you need two people bidding it up to that price. So whoever won it could have paid quite a bit more if there had been another buyer, coming in there. But we don't really know. You never really know what the top bid was, but $45,000 indicates the second highest bid. And then there's another one here. This one to me is actually more surprising. So you've got the same thing going on here. You've got a Pokemon and a Magic card, but ghost printed instead of a Pikachu is a Fighting Energy. Probably the least desirable type of ghost print. It's not a Pokemon. It's not even a trainer with a person on it. It's an energy, and on top of that, it's not even like a fire energy or a lightning energy. It's a Fighting Energy. So for this to still get almost $15,000, that's impressive. So I believe there is a set market for this. Now, if there are hundreds of these things come out, they're going to surely tank. But if there's only a few of them, then I think that price it could stick around there. I mean, that's a very solid price. Next up, we have Blastoise base set first edition in PSA 10. To me, this price it looks a little bit low. So I'm going to check the condition. So yeah, I mean, you can see the white dot right there. Looks like some whitening along the top edge. Even some stuff maybe on the surface, another white dot there. So this is a pretty weak 10. So I imagine that might be why we didn't see a high premium on this specific card. Let me see if I can go back. There we go. Espeon Gold Star in a 7, and we have Umbreon Gold Star in a 7. So not a high grade at all, but 6,500 on the Umbreon, 4,700 on the Espeon. Very strong prices for cards that aren't even holographic. This card right here continues to surprise me. Got Latios and Latias at $6,100, a modern card, 2019. I guess you can't say it's modern anymore, 6 years out. But I showed you guys previously where I sold this card for like $80 to the Golden War Turtle, and I sold several copies in 10s in that price range. So $6,100 is quite surprising. Now let's jump into some of the stuff from the title. We have base set booster boxes being sold here, and this is the most interesting one. So this is just a normal base set booster box, $26,250. We haven't seen this kind of pricing since around the pandemic time. And so if you look at mine right here, this one is in pretty pristine condition. I had somebody inquire about it recently. I had a few that I bought. I want to say $15,500 and then maybe like $17,000. So I bought 2 boxes recently, about $10,000 less than what this one ended for. I went and checked on eBay. Sure enough, the lowest one on there was $28,000. And so with this $26,000 sale and the $28,000 being the lowest on eBay and mine being in such good condition, I was like, you know what? I think $27,000 would be a fair price. And of course, I didn't hear back from them. I don't know if they were interested, but they probably, like me, weren't ready for the price increase. For the longest time, you could get these for like $13,000 from a few people on Instagram. They were being supplied by a few master distributors. I believe that's what they call themselves. So for the longest time, you could get mint copies of these for about $13,000. It was that and the Fossil First Edition boxes that you could get. The Jungle Unlimited looks pretty right at about $9,000. But you got Fossil First Edition right here, $17,500. That's a pretty strong sale from it's up about $4,000 or $5,000 from what we were seeing not too long ago. And like You got a first edition Gym Heroes, 21,000. Again, strong sales. But these are very strong right here. Look at this. Neo Genesis Unlimited, 31K. Neo Revelation Unlimited, 28K. Neo Destiny, 38K. These are all unlimited boxes, and they're going for about what we saw the first edition boxes going for not too long ago, maybe a few years. Now, this is the biggest sale. Skyridge, $96,000. We have not seen a public sale this high. Now, I have heard of people asking over 100,000. I have not heard of any sales until this. This almost sold for 6 figures publicly. When I went to Card Party, I saw Gary, the guy from he's got Gary's Pokemart. I think that's what it is. He has his own Instagram. He popped out and we talked for a second. He was like, "Yeah, if you got any e-reader boxes, let me know." And I was like, "Well, I recently talked to somebody who has an Expedition, Aquapolis, and Skyridge for sale. They told me their last best offer was 150K, but." You know, he was like, "Nah, well, you know what? Sold. I would pay that amount." And I'm like, "Well, you need to talk with them. That was the last I was told. You might have to come up a little bit, you know, to make sure that you have the best offer." But that's a very strong offer, in my opinion, because based off of the recent sales, I mean, you were looking at like 55,000 or so, public anyways. And so to me, like that was a strong price. I wasn't going to touch that offer. And so he ended up reaching out to them, and apparently the guy had an offer of 175 and still wasn't taking it. They wanted to wait until this auction ended on Heritage. And so I don't know what the final price was. I believe Pokemon Experience may have bought that lot, because I saw where he posted publicly that he picked up these 3 boxes plus some others that looked like the same lot that was coming from that WotC employee. However, I don't know for sure that that's the same lot that was purchased. However, these are just like really strong prices that I haven't seen before. And it makes me wonder if there's just like 3 or 4 people that are really going for these Skyridge, Aquapolis, Expedition, these e-reader boxes that are beautiful, I might add, where you can get crystals and really unique Pokemon, and it's just pushing the price up. What happens if those guys leave the market? And to me, I would think that they would come back down, but every time that I've thought that about these e-reader sets and Legendary Collection, they just continue to go up. So while I don't get that price point from what you can get, especially like since the biggest pull is the Skyridge Charizard, and it's like a $25,000 to $28,000 card in its highest grade. I get that a lot of people do really like these sets. I mean, the boxes are beautiful. The sealed product is very scarce, and it doesn't fully surprise me that we see these prices, but I was shocked to see this $96,000 price. All right, so that's the main headliner for the video. However, let's go over some of these uncut sheets. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fossil sheets right here, and I believe these are the hollow versions. You can see they all ended between like the $5,000 and $7,000 range. Seems about right. I know that they were up around $10,000 for a little bit there, but seeing 5 of these all at once doesn't surprise me either, because this was the only public release with the KB Toys back in 99 or 2000 or whenever it was. There was like supposedly 1,000 of these given out. Now there were some other sheets that you could get that you could win at the like if you won a tournament, regionals, you know, so forth, something like that. But these were released through KB Toys. And I believe this is a non-hollow sheet, which brought a little bit more money. This sheet was very surprising. So we've got Neo Genesis right here. And if you guys saw the video where I went over the counterfeit, or not the counterfeit cards, I went through a guide where it showed some uncut sheets where I actually used to sell these on eBay, and I'd sold them for even cheaper than what I've shown, but the $59.99 was one of the sale prices in which I stuck these up in multiples for buy it now, and people would buy them. I had them as cheap. I want to say it's $49.99, because I had bought them for $20 a piece, and I could buy them quite a few at a time. It was like 100 or so that I had bought at once. And yeah, 5,600, very strong sale. The last few I sold were between 2 and 3, if I remember correctly. And there's some other boxes as well. You got like German Jungle, German Fossil. This German first edition Team Rocket seems to be going for about the same price as the English, but typically you can't find some of these sets that are past Fossil in other languages as often. So to me, it wouldn't have surprised me if this box had went for 30,000, even more than the English side. With it being a hot set and the fact that it's in German, you can see the box itself is just it's a little bit different. It's not packaged the same way. The graphics are a little bit different, and sometimes the collectors who collect only German or French or whatever, they'll pay up for this kind of thing. Now I did say I was going to go over one more card. Man, these ponchos, $10,000 for a poncho. That to me, that's just up there. Got some Japanese boxes here. Pretty rare to find those. There was a Charizard. Oh yeah, well, before we go over the Charizard, look at this. 4th print UK base set box. This was made in the UK. So these have a chance at $19.99 2000 hollows, which should make it more expensive since it's more scarce. Now, I will say the box is pretty beat up. It's got loose wrap on it. But typically in the past, this variation, because it's more scarce, has been more expensive, or at least the same as the regular base set. But you can see right here, $20,000. So it actually was $6,000 cheaper than the regular unlimited base. So that was surprising. But check this out. Charizard PSA 4 first edition from base set. It only pulled $6,000. I do not think that there is $10,000 worth of difference between a 4 and a 6. The market on Heritage this day disagreed with me, or at least June 28th was when this one ended. 4 days later, we saw the $16,000 price with the 6. So that to me is a little bit baffling. I don't know why there's such a difference there. I would think that the 4 would be around maybe $5,000 or $6,000, and then the 6 you would bump up at most to like 10 or 11, and even to me that seems kind of high. But seeing the 7 go for 14, maybe it's around that range, but 16 does seem high to me. If it was a legitimately paid for sale, I mean, to me that is a very strong sale for whoever consigned that with Heritage. So congratulations there. All right, guys, that's going to be it for us going over sales, but let's flip it around, and let's look at some stuff that's coming up for sale. So we have a first appearance Lugia, very tough card to grade. Well, first off, it's very tough to find. It's really cool. It's a silver card, and then it's super tough to grade because a lot of these cards are going to have like this ruffling that goes across the top and the bottom of the card, or at least one or the other, and so they're tough to find in mint condition. Coming down through here, we have some art by Mitsuhiro Arita, and it's in color. It does say to Michael, but of course, I mean, who wouldn't give that auto a 10, right? So I'm curious to see what something like this does bring in auction. It's not really my thing. This is a really cool card. It's a bilingual Lucky Stadium from the Tropical Mega Battle. There was both this and the Executor that was released. Very few copies of these are around, but it did pull the 10. So I bet you this will be a very, very high expensive card. Coming down through here, we have got some more signature cards. What is this? I'm not even sure what the signature is. Must be on the slab itself. Same thing with this. Got a Ken Sugimori. Ken Sugimori signatures are tough to find. Got that auto 10. Got a trophy Kangaskhan. Big card there. Snap Gyarados. I might have to come in and try to bid on this. I've never owned a Snap card, and I wouldn't mind just having one for the collection, but I may also need to just leave it alone because they are very expensive, and it would be outside of my normal wheelhouse for what I try to collect. Now, these are all kind of cool. You've got the Pikachu Illustrator 9. It will be interesting to see how the market fares since we've had so many illustrators come through auction recently. This is a newly graded cert, but it pulled the 9. So I mean, that's a good grade. I mean, it's a mint. It's the second highest grade that you can get from PSA, and I'm curious to see how far the card has slid back. I don't think anybody's going to expect this card to bring $1 million or more, but if it does, whew, that would be a surprise. So you just never know what happens with auction. Now, these are interesting. When I first saw them, I was like, oh, these must be like Akabane signed or something. But they're not. These are Arita signed, and you've got the original trophies. This is 98, so it's second year trophies, not quite original. This is 98 as well. Got some other cool cards. We got a Gold Star Charizard and a 10. I don't really follow the games, but some of those have gotten expensive. I did see where I think a blue sold for over $100,000 recently, and then the red, I want to say was a 99, sold for almost $100,000. But there we go, guys. That's what you have to look forward to in addition to the stuff that we just went over in regards to some sales that happened. Let me know if you like this kind of video and if you'd like me to cover when this kind of thing happens. But yeah, it was a record sale, or at least a record public sale for the Skyridge. I don't know if they've transacted for over $100,000 yet, but it would not surprise me seeing how much that went for at Heritage. All right, guys, thanks for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe.